Extra continues.
Welcome back. Once again, we're at the movies this Thanksgiving morning talking about what's coming out this holiday weekend, possibly for you and your family to go see. Earlier, Jim, we talked about some of the newer movies that are coming out like today, or maybe they've come out at some point this week. We want to talk about now a review of a couple films that were huge last week that maybe could carry the top 2 spots in the box office again this week, right?
Yeah, I mean, Frozen 2 broke the worldwide record for an animated film with over $300 million at the box office, and then it had $130 million domestically, which is, of course, nothing to sneeze at. The question is it worth your money? I have seen Frozen 2, and I'm sorry to say that I do not necessarily recommend it. One of the things that Frozen 2 does is what a lot of sequels do. The first film brought these characters together. It had character development. They all had to grow and change as people in order to reach the end of the movie. Frozen 2 picks up those characters and where they were, and has to immediately break them apart again. And the fact that this film chooses to do that in a very convoluted and ham-handed way is one of the things that brings it down. For me, this film did not work because of its character development. That said, there are many great songs, and there's a really good song that Josh Gad has, sort of an existential song about being a snowman.
As they say Josh Gad, it's Olaf, Jim.
Olaf, voiced by Josh Gad.
Yeah.
The animation is really good. The songs are really good. As you can see, the animation is absolutely beautiful in this film. I've got nothing bad to say about this.
So you worry about
I just wish it had a better screenplay and a better story.
I was going to say, so you worry about the character, because right, it's got to be a thing, I'd imagine, you know, Anna and Hans maybe having issues. It's not the honeymoon phase. That type of stuff is where these sequels go. Did you feel like the overall plot, though, because the preview makes it look like they're going to find out the origin of Queen Elsa's powers, but did you find that to be well written, put together as far as that plot?
Yeah, I mean, they do that, but it is it could have been done a little bit better, and I don't want to talk too much about that because of plot spoilers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see this later today. So
yeah, I don't want to ruin the movie for you. But yeah, there are elements of that certainly did work. Like there's definitely a theme in Frozen 2. Same with Frozen, of female empowerment, of women working together instead of against each other. That definitely plays in this film, and that part of it worked. The problem is that in order to get there, you had to do all of these machinations with characters that came off as ham-handed for me. For that reason, I'm giving it 2 stars. I'm not necessarily recommending it, although for young kids, they will probably not have many of the same critiques that I did. I read one of my favorite headlines that came out a couple of days ago. I wish I could give name credit to it, but it was, "My kids loved Frozen 2, but I was very confused." And that's exactly how I felt.
And we'll still go see it. Let's talk about a movie that I think will probably be talked about for a while. It is The Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the Mr. Rogers movie where Tom Hanks plays Fred Rogers. Can you kind of explain, I guess, your thoughts on that movie?
Sure. This is a really good film. It pairs Matthew Rhys and Tom Hanks, and actually most of the length of the film spends with the Matthew Rhys character, the journalist who is interviewing Fred Rogers. And Tom Hanks perfectly captures the spirit of Fred Rogers. This is not an imitation. This is not this is not a direct comparison between the characters. He does get Fred Rogers' gait, but it doesn't get the voice right, and I'm okay with that, because this film is about how the spirit of optimism and forgiveness and unconditional love can cure even the most cynical points of view, and that's what happens between these 2 characters. What I liked about this film is that A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood posits the thesis that Fred Rogers paints with the primary colors of emotion, and that even in the most complicated of worlds, that's all you need, is the primary colors of emotion: love, kindness, and a honest dealing with your own feelings. And that's why I am pretty high on this movie.
Did you feel good when you left the theaters after watching it?
I did. Yeah, I did and I didn't. I think that there were elements of the film that I think it could have complicated the plot between the Matthew Rhys character and Chris Cooper, who plays Matthew Rhys's father. I think it could have complicated that a little bit more. There were moments of that plot that didn't fully work for me, but overall, I think that you'll leave this film with a feeling of optimism that ultimately worked well for me. I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Pretty good for you.
Yeah.
Out of 5, 3.5.
Now the best is Won't You Be My Neighbor, last year's documentary. That movie's a 5-star movie straight through, and that'll make you weep a little bit. Even the most hard-hearted person won't be able to survive dry-eyed through Won't You Be My Neighbor.
Well, 2 big movies this week. Well, we'll find out exactly if they top the box office 1 and 2 again. Jim, thanks for coming in, and thanks for celebrating Thanksgiving with us.
I'm happy to be here. Yeah, this is great. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
We'll see you in a bit.